Hello lovely people, welcome to Stella's Yarn Universe. In this crochet tutorial I'll show you how to make this penguin chick. It's inspired by the emperor penguin chick, and so I thought that makes a cute little project that's quite easy. It only has some color changes in the beginning, but the rest is quite straightforward and quick to make, so you can make it as little ornaments or keepsakes or as keychains, whatever you like. You can find the free written pattern on my website, linked in the description box below. And there you can also find links to my Etsy and Ravelry shop, where you can find the PDF version of the pattern, which includes step-by-step photos of the process. And there's also an interactive Ribbler version, if that's what you're interested in. And there's also the link to my Patreon, where you can download the PDF version of this pattern and 20 plus more patterns of my previous projects. So now let's get into what materials we need to make this little penguin. For this little project we need DK or light worsted weight yarn in black, white and gray. I'll be using dark gray instead of black, so you can better see my stitches as we are crocheting the head and the beak. And I'm using a 2.5 millimeter hook, something in between a size B1 and C2. We also need a yarn needle. I love the ones with the bent tip, a pin, scissors, some fiberfill, a stitch marker, and optional safety eyes. These are 5 millimeter. If you have smaller ones, they might be even more suitable. I used 5 millimeter safety eyes for this little penguin here. So based on that, you can decide which ones you want to use. If you don't have safety eyes, I'll show you how to make the eyes using yarn, as I did with this one here. So without further ado, let's get crocheting. So we start with the head in black, but I'll be using dark gray instead, so that you can hopefully see what I'm doing. We begin with the magic ring, so use your preferred magic ring method. Oops. And then in round 1, we make 6 single crochet in the magic ring. And close. In round 2, we make 6 increases, so 2 single crochet in each of the 6 existing stitches. And that's it. Our round has 12 stitches now. Going to close the magic ring a little more. In round 3, we'll start joining the white yarn. So I have that ready here. And we start with 3 single crochet in black. So 1, 2, and with the third one we're going to change to white, so that the fourth single crochet is going to be in white. So I pick up the black yarn, pull it through, and then I take the white yarn and pull it through the 2 black loops on my hook. So the next single crochet is going to be in white, and I'm going to carry the black yarn through the white stitches. So there are different ways to do this. I like to hold the yarn like this over my index finger, but you could also drop the yarn that you're crocheting around and just hold the yarn you're working with. You can try what feels better for you. I'm going to go with this method, so maybe this way I can better show you how I carry the black yarn through the white stitches. So we go through the next stitch, and then underneath the black yarn, then pick up the white yarn and pull it through underneath the black and through the stitch. So now we have our 2 loops on the hook, and then we go over the black yarn, pick up the white yarn and pull it through the 2 loops. So now we have a white stitch, white single crochet stitch, and the black yarn comes out of it, so it's hidden inside. With the next stitch we already changed back to black, so we go through the next stitch, then pick up the white yarn and again pull it through underneath the black. So now we have 2 white loops on our hook, but now we change to black. So the way I hold the yarn, the black yarn goes on top now, and I pick it up and pull it through the 2 white loops. So now I'm carrying the white yarn through the black stitches, and so go through the next stitch, underneath the white yarn, pick up the black yarn, pull it through underneath the white. So I have 2 black loops on my hook, then go over the white yarn, pick up the black yarn and pull it through the 2 black loops. In the next stitch we change back to white again, so we go through the next stitch, underneath the white yarn, pick up the black yarn, pull it through underneath, and now we switch back, so white goes on top. If you don't hold the yarn the way I do, you can just drop the black yarn now for the next stitch. Now I take the white yarn, pull it through the 2 black loops, and then in the next single crochet I'll carry the black yarn through the white stitch. So going through underneath and then above, and then with the next single crochet we change back to black. So go through the next stitch, pull the white yarn through underneath, and here we switch, but we want to carry the white yarn through the whole round because we'll need it again in the next round. So the white yarn comes with us now. Then we pick up the black yarn, pull it through the 2 loops, and now we have 3 single crochet left in the round, which we'll make in black, carrying the white yarn through. And this is the round complete, so I'll place my stitch marker here. Round 4 starts with 3 single crochet again, 3 single crochet in black, and in the third one we change to white again. So we continue to carry the white yarn through, and with the third stitch we change to white. Whenever we have more stitches through which we carry the contrast color yarn, it's good to give it a little tug just to make sure that it doesn't show through in between the stitches if it's too loose. But we don't want to pull too tight, then we risk distorting the shape, if you know what I mean. So we want to pull just a little bit to make sure the yarn that we crochet around has some tension on it, but not too much. I hope that makes sense. So with the next single crochet we change to white. So start with black and then pull white through the 2 black loops, and white goes on top. Now we have a single crochet in white, and with the next one we change back to black. There we go. Now in the next 2 stitches we increase with black. So we make 2 single crochet in the next stitch and 2 in the next. So with the first one we don't change to white yet, and with the second one we change to white. So white goes on top, and we have 2 single crochet in white. With the second one we change to black, and black goes on top. Then we single crochet 3 in black. And then in round 5, this is the last round with these color changes, we start again with 3 single crochet in black, changing to white with the third, so I give the yarn a little tug, and changing to white, so white goes on top. Then we have 2 single crochet in white, changing to black in the second one. So black goes on top, and now we have 2 decreases. So we make the decreases while crocheting around the white yarn. So we insert our hook in the front loop of the next stitch, so the first black one here, then pull it down and insert it in the front loop of the next black stitch. So we have 2 front loops on our hook. Then we go underneath the white yarn, pick up the black and pull it through underneath through the 2 front loops. So now we have 2 loops on our hook, and then we go over the white yarn, pick up the black yarn and pull it through the 2 loops. That was 1 decrease. Now we do another one. So we go through the front loop of the next stitch and the front loop of the next, underneath the white yarn, pick up the black yarn, put it through the 2 front loops, and then go over the white yarn and pick up the black yarn. So that's the 2 decreases done. Now we have another single crochet in black, changing to white. So that goes in the white stitch here. We just want to balance this because the stitches in crochet, if we crochet in a continuous spiral like we do for amigurumi, they all lean toward one direction. So we want to balance that out. And so here we pick up the black yarn and then the white yarn. And white yarn goes on top one last time. We have 2 single crochet in white. And in the second one we change to black. So now we have 2 stitches left in the round. And we'll make 2 black single crochet, 1 in each of them. I still carry the white yarn through these 2 stitches, although we won't use it anymore, just to weave it in somehow to secure it. And this is the round done. So in the next round we'll start joining the gray yarn. So I have that ready. So this is really gray, not gray that's supposed to be black. And so we start the round with 3 single crochet in black. I still carry the white yarn through to secure it some more. But in the 3rd single crochet here, I join the gray yarn. So now I fasten the white off and the black both. And from here we just need gray. So now we pull the gray yarn through the 2 black loops and hold it in place. Hold the yarn ends in place. And then we single crochet in the remaining 9 stitches of the round. And that's round 6 done. In round 7 we make 3 single crochet and 1 increase. And we repeat this 2 more times. 3 single crochet and 1 increase. And once more. 3 single crochet and 1 increase. In the next round, we start with 4 single crochet. And then we make an increase. And again, we repeat this 2 more times. And now is a good time to insert the safety eyes or embroider the eyes. So I'm securing my stitch. So first, I'm showing you what you can do if you don't have safety eyes or you don't want to use them. If you have safety eyes and you want to use them, you can click on the timestamp in the description box below that says safety eyes. So you can skip the following part. So one option is to make the eyes with black yarn. Of course, you can also in the end embroider them in any way you like, if that's your thing. I am not the best at embroidery, so I always try to find ways to make it easier. And so I'm just taking this maybe 30 centimeter, 12-inch long piece of yarn, and at one end of it, like closer to one end, I have a short end here and a long one, and here I just make a knot. And then I make one more knot in the same spot. So this is the first eye. Now I'm threading the long end on the yarn needle. And then I go through in between round 4 and 5, the middle and last round that has white in it, on the white patch in between the 2 white stitches. And I go through on the same spot on the other white patch between round 4 and 5, between the 2 white stitches, and pull through until the knot stops the yarn from coming through. So you may need to add another knot to make it to stop the yarn from pulling through. And now I make 2 more knots for the other eye, and they need to be as close to the head as possible. So I'll just tie the knot first, and then I try to pull it as close as possible to the head. So let's make the loop a little shorter. And now, if you put your finger on it and gently pull and push it as close as possible to the head, then you should get something like this. So that's one knot done, and then we do another one. So this one should be a bit easier. I'll just pull it around the existing knot. So putting my finger on it. And then 2 fingers. And that's it. So now we have 2 double knots. Now we just need to make these yarn ends disappear. And they go through the same spot that we went through before. So if your knots aren't big enough, then the eyes will disappear in the head now. So try not to pull too much or make the knots as big as possible. I'm not pulling too much, just enough to make the end disappear. And then the same thing on the other side. I go through the same spot with my needle and thread the yarn end. And pull through. And that's it. So now we have 2 little eyes. You can also shape them a bit with your fingers if one is larger than the other. And then you can tie these 2 black yarn ends together inside the head to secure them. But I'm not going to do that because with this one I'm using safety eyes, so I'm actually pulling that out again. So if you have safety eyes, you find the spot in between the 2 white stitches between rounds 4 and 5. That's where I inserted the safety eyes. So if they don't go in easily, you can loosen up the spot between stitches with your hook. And if anyone knows where to buy 4mm safety eyes, please let me know, because I used to buy them at celloexpress.co.uk and they don't have them anymore. So these 5mm ones are a bit big, but I think it's still okay for this project. So on the other side, again, between rounds 4 and 5, between the 2 white stitches, and that's it. So I'm going to secure them now. That was a bit tricky with such a small project, but it worked. Now we can use all these yarn ends as filling for the head. So I forgot to mention in the material section of this video my little pliers. If you've watched previous tutorials of mine, you know how much I love them for pushing small portions of fiberfill or yarn ends in, especially in small parts like this tiny head here. But that said, they're optional. You can find other tools to fill the head, or maybe you don't need tools at all. And if that's not enough, then use some fiberfill to make sure there's filling between the backs of the safety eyes and around them. So now we can continue with the body. Our stitch count is 18 now, and in the next round we increase some more. So we have 5 single crochet, and 1 increase. And we repeat this 2 more times. So now we have a stitch count of 21, and in the next round we'll single crochet in all 21 stitches. And now in the next round we increase some more. So we make 6 single crochet, and an increase. And again we repeat this 2 more times, 6 single crochet and an increase. So now we have a stitch count of 24, and in the next 4 rounds we'll single crochet in all 24 stitches. So you can pause the video here and hit play once you crocheted 4 rounds of 24 single crochet. Once these 4 rounds of 24 single crochet are done, we start decreasing. So in the next round we begin with 6 single crochet, and then we make a decrease. So in the front loops of the next 2 stitches, pick up the yarn, pull it through both front loops and pick up the yarn and pull it through the 2 remaining loops. And then we repeat this 2 more times. So now our stitch count is down to 21. So in this round we start with 5 single crochet, and then we have a decrease, and we repeat this 2 more times. And then we have a decrease in the last 2 stitches. So now we can fill the body. That should be enough for now. We can still add a little more fiberfill after the next round. Actually, I don't need a stitch marker because now we'll crochet in the back loops only. So we have a stitch count of 18 now, and in the next round we'll start with 1 single crochet in the back loop, so we only go through the back loop and make a single crochet, and then we have a decrease, but the decrease is done in the back loops only. So for that we pick up the next back loop and then go through the next back loop. I always find it easiest to get the hook in between the front and back loop and then twist it to get it on my hook, and then we pick up the yarn and pull it through the 2 back loops and pick it up and pull it through the 2 loops on the hook, and we repeat this 5 more times. 1 single crochet, they all go in the back loops, and 1 back loop decrease, Oops. And that's the round done. So now we're down to a stitch count of 12. And this is the last chance to add some more fiberfill. We don't want to overfill because we want our penguin to be able to stand. So pushing the bottom down a bit, we can see how much space there still is for more fiberfill. I'll only add a little bit more. And that's it. So then we can crochet the last round, in which we'll make 6 decreases in a row. So these decreases go in the front loops as usual. So we single crochet 2 front loops together 6 times. And now we can fasten off. And we need our yarn needle to close the round. So we go through the front loops of all 6 stitches of the last round. Now be careful if you're using wool or acrylic yarn. I'm using cotton, so it's quite sturdy, so I can pull really tight. Don't pull too tightly though, especially with wool or acrylic, because that could break. And then we go through the center of the last round and weave in the yarn end. So here we can pull tight again. And trim off the end. And that's the head and body of our little penguin done. So now we can crochet the beak. And I made the beak in black, but for this video I'm using the dark gray again. So for the beak we make a little loop. Then we make 2 chains. and then we make a single crochet in the second chain. So that's the tiny beak done already. So we can fasten off, leaving the yarn end long enough to sew the beak on. So we can set that aside for later. Then we'll crochet the wings. So for the wings, I'm using gray, the same shade that I used for the body. And so again, we make a little loop on our hook. And then we make 6 chains. And starting in the second chain from the hook, we single crochet 2. Then we make an increase in the next chain. So 2 single crochet in the same chain, and then 2 half double crochet, 1 in each of the remaining 2 chains. So maybe I should show you just in case. The half double crochet goes like this. You make a yarn over, go through the stitch or chain in this case, pick up the yarn, pull it through, and then pick up the yarn and pull it through all 3 loops. And we have another one of those in the last chain. And then we fasten off, again leaving the yarn end long enough to stitch the wing on. Doesn't need to be long because we'll only stitch it on at the base. So then you can make another one of these. So these tiny wings both look the same. That's intended to be this way. So one will be sewed on with the wrong side facing the body, and the other one will have the wrong side facing outward. That's how it's meant to be, in case you're wondering. But before we stitch on the wings and beak, we'll crochet the tiny feet on the body. So for this, we're looking for the center front loop here. In this round where we crocheted in the back loops only, you should be able to see the front loops. And so if you look at your little penguin from this perspective, you probably can tell which one of these front loops is the most centered. And then if you place a stitch marker in it, it becomes more obvious. So if you look at it from the front and from this perspective, I think we can say that this is the one that's most aligned with the center. So we use this as a reference. I'm using the same shade of gray that I used for the body. And now, counting the marked front loop as 1, I count 1, 2, 3 to the side. And in this front loop, that's where I join the yarn. So I just pull a loop through, hold the end in place with my middle finger, and then I make a little chain just to attach the yarn. And then I make one more chain and then a slip stitch into the same front loop. So just slip one loop through the other, Then I make a chain again and another slip stitch in the same front loop. So pull the yarn through and just slip this loop through the existing loop, and again one chain and one final slip stitch in the same front loop. So that's the tiny foot done already. So here we can fasten off. And now we weave in the end. So just go through somewhere here at the base of the foot. And trim that short. And then the other end. So we want to get that in as close to that front loop that we worked in as possible. And weave that in as well. Give it a little squeeze. And so this is the first foot done. So for the other one, we count in the other direction. So starting with the marked front loop with 1 as 1, we count 1, 2, 3. So this is where the other foot goes. So we can remove the stitch marker now and join the yarn and repeat the same steps. So we make a chain to secure the yarn, then make one more chain and a slip stitch in the same front loop, then a chain and another slip stitch and a chain and a final slip stitch, and then we fasten off and weave in the yarn ends as we did for the other foot. So that's the feet done. If they don't quite look like feet, you can take your yarn needle and pull the loops out a bit to make them look more like little toes. And then we can attach the beak. So it doesn't really matter which way. We just thread one yarn end on our needle, and the beak goes in between rounds 4 and 5 like the eyes. So we just go here for the black patch in between the eyes and find the 2 stitches on the side. So I'm starting with the right side here right side from my perspective, and I just go through. This can be tricky if you're using safety. If you use safety eyes, just want to get through to the back of the head because that's where I'll weave this yarn in. So then I'll just make enough stitches here on the matching back of the head to secure the yarn end. And once that's done, we can trim that. And then the other side. And so the other side goes through here. And that's the beak attached. Now we just need to weave in this yarn end the same way we've woven in the first yarn end. And that's it. Now all that's left are the wings. So I'm starting with the one that has the right side facing outward. And for this I'll use my pin to pin it in place first. So I'm counting the first 3 gray rounds, 1, 2, 3. And in between this third and the fourth round, that's where I attach the wings. And then I want them to be on the side. So a little bit behind the eyes. So let's see. Careful not to poke yourself with the pin. So I think that's good. So it's slightly behind the eyes. And I do this very simply like I did with the beak, because I just want to attach them at the base here so that they can move up and down. So I just go through here in between the third and fourth gray round. And then thoroughly weave in the end. And then the other yarn end. Just remove the pin. So that one goes like about 2 stitches behind the previous one between the same rounds. And that's it. Now I'll just weave this yarn end in as I did with the other one. So that's one wing attached, and as I explained earlier, the other wing will have the wrong side facing outward, so it's going to look like this. So here is where we have the color change. So I'm counting this round that already has most of the stitches in gray. I count that as the first gray round. So 1, 2, 3. And this is where this wing goes. Just put in the pin. And then you can also check if you follow the round. It's the same place where we stitched the other wing on. So all that's left to do is attach this wing the same way we did the first one. And that's it. Our little penguin chick is complete. Thank you so much for crocheting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up for me and share it with anyone who you think might enjoy it as well. And I'd love to have you here on my channel, so please subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any future crochet tutorials. And lastly, you can share your little penguin with me on Instagram or Facebook. Please tag at Stella's Yarn Universe so that I don't miss your post. And you can also email me photos of your little penguin chick if you like at stellasyarnuniverse@outlook.com. And so this is the last tutorial of the year. So I wish those of you who celebrate any holidays this month a wonderful time and happy rest of 2024 to all of you lovely people. Thank you so much for crocheting along with me this year. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I am so thankful that I get to do this, and that's because of you. So I just want you to know how much I appreciate you, and I so look forward to crocheting more with you in the next year. If you have any suggestions on what you'd like to crochet, feel free to leave them in the comments below. So until next time, bye.